man. So, as you seen, dog, Stephen A. Smith was pressed by LeBron James last night because of how he been speaking on Bronny James and also using him in ways to bash LeBron. So, let's watch this once again. He says, I'm gonna tell you one more time, bro. Keep my son out of this shit, bro. Appreciate the lip readers out there now. The jokes are going on social media. They saying this how Stephen A. Smith was after LeBron confronted him about Bronny.
Shit, that nigga had me scared, but I held my own. Fuck that.
But folks also said Stephen A. Smith walking into work knowing Bron gave him elite content to talk about. And speaking of, Stephen A. says, I didn't want to have to address this. I wouldn't have either had it not gone viral. Now I have no choice. First take, blah, blah, blah. And he is addressing things. Let's go ahead and tap in. If you are watching on my channel, you will see a still image on the screen.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome into First Take on this Feel Good Friday. Thank you for being with us. Obviously, Stephen A., an incredible game last night in LA. You were in the building, and we'll get to what that means for the Lakers and Knicks in just a moment. But, S.A., there was a moment in the game that we want to address.
That was LeBron James coming up to me. Unexpectedly, I might add, to confront me about making sure that I mind what I say about his son. Can't repeat the words because they ain't suited for FCC airwaves. That's what he was doing. I thought long and hard about this over the last few hours because I had no intentions, Molly, of talking about this at all.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because it was a one-on-one, I wouldn't say a conversation, but it was a one-on-one confrontation. But then I wake up and everybody from ESPN and my agent and everybody else were sending me that this thing had gone viral. And so ultimately it was unavoidable, and that is why I have to discuss it now. That wasn't a basketball player confronting me. That was a parent. That was a father. And I can't sit here and be angry or feel slighted by LeBron James in any way in that regard. By all accounts, he's obviously a wonderful family man and a wonderful father who cares very, very deeply about his son. And based on some of the comments that he had heard, or shall I say, I think he thought he heard, he clearly took exception to some of the things that he heard me say. And he confronted me about it. For the record, his agent and friend, Rich Paul, has my number. Maverick Carter, who works under him, has my number. LeBron James knows how to get in contact with me if he wanted to. He never called, because had he called and wanted to talk to me, I would have accepted that call. Had he wanted to see me, I would have flown out and I would have seen him and I would have had a conversation man to man. But that is not what he elected to do. Instead, he elected to confront me while I was sitting courtside. Ari Emanuel, the head of William Morris Endeavor, one of the agencies that represents me, along with Larry David, was sitting courtside. I was with them for the game. And he walked right up to me and he said what he had to say. And apparently he feels like I was slighting his son. Now let me tell you what I feel. What I would have said if we were in a different environment, because I was not going to engage in a confrontation at that particular moment in that setting. But if we had had that conversation, I would have said to LeBron James, I never would speak negatively about your son. I was talking about you, meaning you, LeBron James. I have nothing but the best wishes for Bronny James. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope that he flourishes into an NBA star. Usually in other sports, we see all stars, and on occasion, we'll see their children become stars as well. That doesn't really happen with the NBA. I sincerely hope he's the exception. By all accounts, he's a wonderful kid. And I don't know anybody who roots against him, and it certainly isn't me. But in the same breath, at the time that we were talking about him, he was percolating to such a degree that the Bronny James stories had gone viral. And so we had to talk about it. And when I said the things that I said, I wasn't talking about Bronny James because my attitude is he's a rookie. It's going to take some time for him to get himself together. He'll be just fine, especially with J.J. Redick and the staff coaching him. I was talking about the position that he was put in by his dad, because LeBron James has been on the record and he has said, and I'll read the quote here. There was a quote that he gave in February of 2024. The work and results will ultimately do talking, no matter what the size. If y'all don't know, he doesn't care what mock drafts say. He just works, earned, not given, etc., etc. But he also had said that his son could play on the Lakers right now, and he was better than half the dudes in the NBA. In the aftermath of all of that, he instructed everybody before the draft that y'all want me, draft Bronny. Wherever Bronny is at, that's where I'll be. I'll do whatever it takes to play with my son for a year. It's not about the money at that point. My point months ago was that because of who you are, one of the top 2 players in the history of basketball, in my estimation, there's an immense amount of pressure that comes with that for his son. And when he talked like that and what have you, anything that goes awry as it pertains to his son, there's going to be a microscopic eye, even more intensified, on Bronny James because of his dad and what his dad had said. And that's when I was talking about, come on, man, this is the situation that you're putting him in. That's where I was coming from. I could be a bit more outspoken about it, but to be quite honest with you, to be in that moment, to have LeBron look at me the way that he did, for me to be a father of 2 daughters, for me to know what fathers, how much love fathers have for their children, and to hear what he had to say, it was all about his son. It was almost as if he was saying, you know, you and I, because he and I don't necessarily vibe. It's high and by. We keep it moving. Neither of us lose sleep over it. And it's been that way for years. But it was like he was saying, keep that between me and you. Almost as if he was thinking that anything that I said about Bronny was a result of him. And in that situation, again, I wasn't talking about Bronny. I was really, really talking about him because of the position that Bronny was in. But I really understood where he was coming from. He was very, very upset. I could tell. He could have called me. I'd have came to see him. I'd have had a conversation with him. He could have been just as upset face-to-face, man-to-man, as opposed to being courtside at the game. I had no idea that everybody saw it until I woke up this morning. But it is what it is. In the end, like I said, you know, I as a father, I get it. I'm not offended. I'm not insulted. I don't have any animosity or animus towards LeBron James for this. Nothing like that. I don't think he cares, but neither do I. I'm just stating fact. None of that exists. If I was in his position, I can't definitively say I would not have done the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming him one bit. I get it. I understand it. And there's a part of me that aches and hurts because of it. But unlike a whole bunch of people with their podcast and beyond that talk about the NBA, I covered the NBA. And it's my job to talk about the subjects and the subject matters that matter. I work for ESPN. I'm here. We have the #1 morning show for the last 13 years and counting. God has blessed us with that. There's a lot that's going on, and there's a lot of stories that are there to be told. And I just feel it's necessary to remind people, Molly, I was raised as a journalist. Let's be very, very clear about what that means. I'm not one of those that get into people's private affairs. But what you do on a public platform for public consumption, that's what I cover. That's what I do for a living. And if you're in the NBA, that applies to you. I don't want enemies. I live a very good life. I like to make people laugh and smile and have a good time and all of that other stuff. But I also get paid to call it like I see it. And what I said at the time, I stand by what I said. It wasn't even any reporting. The facts were out there. And what I was saying about LeBron is fact-based because of what he said and the things that he said leading up to his son getting drafted and ultimately being in the NBA on the same team as him, as opposed to being a Boston Celtic or a Golden State Warrior. There is no way around that. And when you are born and raised as a journalist, not born and raised, but when you're raised as a journalist professionally, you don't want enemies, but you ain't paid to make friends. You got to call it like you see it.
That's all we have for this segment from Stephen A. Smith, but I'm torn in between the two in the situation. One, I respect that LeBron James has done what he's done in the league to go ahead and get the strength and the power to go ahead and throw his weight around. So to demand more respect than any other man. That he could put his son in a situation and don't give a damn what people think about it. But he does give a damn what people think about it. And to be honest, just the truth about it is LeBron James has been the most talked about figure in sports, period. Basketball specifically. For the past 20 years, he's been the number one story. Anything about him becomes the number one story. So you're in a situation where when it comes to speaking about Bronny James, that if you don't want to lose your credibility, you have to be realistic about what you're saying. So I think a lot of people like Stephen A. Smith, to avoid criticizing Bronny James, saying he doesn't deserve the position that he's in, they rather challenge LeBron, saying that you are putting too much expectations, too much heat on him by amplifying the attention towards him in a period where he's supposed to be growing, learning, and getting better at the game. Right now, he's being too harshly judged, or he's been in a position that he's going to have to be harshly judged for these people to be taken seriously. If not, they're going to be called on Glazers. If they don't call out what they see when it comes to Bronny James, because he's not his father, but he gets opportunities that other players don't get. So yeah, man, I expect for LeBron to continue to try to throw his weight around, but bro, people gonna call it the way they see it when it comes to Bronny James and what they think about it, bro. And I think they're being nice by putting things on you. They being nice by putting things on you and saying that you're the reason he's not ready yet. But he's being placed in this position that if people wanted to, they can go off on JJ Redick for playing him, saying he's obviously not at the level to be played yet. Nick Wright had this to say in regards to why he believes LeBron James went off on Stephen A. Smith.
When Stephen A. brought that up on his podcast, you know what video played alongside it? Like the soundless, what we call B-roll highlights? Hand to God, it was Bronny's bad minutes against the Sixers. That's true. Go look. Go watch. So, like, again, I don't think that's Stephen A.'s call, but it doesn't exactly dispel the narrative that, well, yeah, there might be a little unfairness here.
To Bronny, I'm looking out. Do you want it this way? LeBron? Do you want it this way, Rich Paul? Do you want it this way? He can't go into the G League and average 20, 25 and stay there until he's ready? Because he's LeBron's son, you know how they're going to judge him. And before anybody wants to jump on me, remember, I never saw Bronny James play until he showed up in the NBA and the G League. I refused to watch him because if I watched him, I would have to talk about him, and I didn't want to talk about LeBron James' son because I thought it was so unfair to the kid. He's such a wonderful kid. Wonderful family.
I just said that without ever seeing the segment. Like, I feel LeBron, but bro, your son not ready. And people trying. They're trying ways to critique him in roundabout ways, out of respect for you. So Kevin Love responds to this tweet from Stephen A. Smith as he was saying that he was going to cover the situation, saying, you have no choice, LOL, because it went viral, LOL. You didn't have to, LOL. You wouldn't have, LOL. Like, saying that you obviously was going to take this as an opportunity for content. The homie Waymo says, as a black man telling a black father to stop his black son from pursuing his dreams as an NBA player on national white TV is a poor use of your platform. I don't care how you feel about Bron, that shit is wrong, and you shouldn't have to be a parent to understand that. So in response to the confrontation, this says, "This confuses me. His job is to literally talk about athletes, and Bronny is an athlete. I get the father side of it displayed by LeBron, commendable, but Bronny is an athlete, and Stephen A's unfiltered opinions cover him too." Shit, I'm gonna keep saying, some people are doing their best to spare Bronny. So in response to Stephen A, "Good, and he checked your ass in public just like how you talk shit in public. Screw the private shit. Stop acting like Bronny don't belong in the league and mind your tongue." But that's the thing about it though. People may really feel like he doesn't belong. They may honestly believe he don't belong. Bron got no right coming at people for speaking about his son's hoop skills. They get paid to talk about hoops, and your son is in an adult league and you put him in this position knowing what could come with it. You want him to be a pro. He got to deal with everything that comes with being a pro. Yeah, that's real shit though, bro. He served Bronny up on his platter. He knows his platform. I think he believes that Bronny could take it though. But who knows what really goes on behind those closed doors when it comes to Bronny's confidence and, you know, trying to deal with these conversations, because he knows people saying that he's not ready yet. Obviously, the internet chatter is just much more flagrant than some of these talking heads, their chatter. But he knows, he sees that shit, dog. But hey, man, sometimes it's tough to separate how you feel about a person as an individual and their character versus the way you discuss them when it comes to their performance. This is a tough one right here, because this is a child that you guys seen grew up, and we understand what's going on right now, and people don't want to shit on this situation. They want Bronny to be successful, but are you going to risk your credibility when it comes to speaking sports by ignoring, just blatantly disregarding how you truly feel about LeBron James Jr.'s play? In my opinion, tell the truth. Just don't expect to have no friends, but tell the truth as much as you can. Let me know what y'all got to say in the comment section below. Me, I'm going to get up out of here though. This is another update with Stace. Yo.